the original plan for today is that we walk to day 3, that is prototyping and lightning demos. Although I think it's a bit better probably to slow down a bit first, take a bit more time to look at the storyboard flow, and take a bit more time to look at the creating storyboards for your prototype. I would prefer to not do this with voting on our favorite flow and then voting on our favorite card, but just have a discussion here. We only have 4 flows, so I think that it should be very doable to discuss. So we went quite quickly through the last steps. I feel that this is where we can maybe take back a bit more like the feeling of ownership over the idea that we have so far. What I would like to propose then is to break into 2 breakout sessions, but with only 4 people. I don't know how beneficial this will be, where one breakout session will focus on lightning demos. So they're gonna look for examples or input or any type of research that could help us build a better prototype. Where the other group will be the designer group that's gonna like brainstorm on how that prototype can look like and how that can be built. And then I want to spend the last 30 minutes of today's session on really spending some time on scheduling what we want to do offline, because that is, for now, that is going to be important. Like we're going to have to put in some productive offline work to get a prototype done. Absolutely don't like expect that that has to be done tomorrow or even on Friday. I mean, we can take some time and just accept that we are taking it a bit slower, and that we'll say, okay, tomorrow we will go to the prototype, and then Friday we will start setting up interviews, and we'll do them next week or so. But that we spend some time online together to schedule this offline time, so we have a better understanding. I think that is the best what we can do today with our time. Although, yeah, I feel not completely comfortable moving along without Marie and Sarah within this step, but I don't think we have any other choice, right?
Yeah, we don't.
No.
So
Okay.
we know Sarah's coming back. What do we know about Marie?
Marie,
we haven't.
Yeah, go ahead, Austin.
Marie sounds like she will join at some time when her call concludes, but I haven't heard anything from Sarah.
Oh, okay, so it was the other way around. Okay.
Yeah.
The other way around, yeah.
Hopefully Sarah joins, but I'm not sure.
No, and Paula is okay with she is gonna take a rain check this week, and she hopes that she can, if we're still doing stuff next week, then she will try to hop on board again, because then it will be a bit of slowdown for her. So I would say let's take some time first to read everyone's flow and take just a couple of minutes to discuss the flows, and then we can take it from there.
Does everyone know the little X key trick?
No, I don't.
If you hover over a tile or any object and you touch and you hit the X key, it enlarges it.
XQ.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
thank, that is super helpful.
That is handy. Yeah.
That is very handy.
I just sat here for 10 minutes trying to figure out why my PC doesn't work until I just realized I didn't have my keyboard turned on.
That'll get you every time.
This might be a little bit of a silly question, but I'm not familiar with the abbreviation WOM. And the only thing I can think of is Woman in Tech. And I don't think that's what you mean.
Word of mouth.
Oh, it's like, okay, very feministic idea of me.
Yeah,
like,
I made
Woman in
that up.
Tech?
So I don't know if that's a real abbreviation or just something that I made. So
I haven't heard of it in that sense. No, but okay, thanks.
yeah, try to save space.
Yeah, makes sense. Maybe we can color the cards that need some clarification.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Or maybe the cards also that you want to discuss, that you like feel. Okay. It seems that we all got sort of this a similar starting and end point. I do notice one thing that we all kind of skipped over, I think, in the whole process in general, maybe, is that people with strong political views might not go and visit a website that is named like On the Other Hand, or even shows another type of opinion. Maybe within the steps, we could spend a bit more time on trying to get people to that website instead of just expecting that they will show up due to word of mouth. Does someone share this concern?
I
think
think. Go ahead, Finn.
I didn't really see that, but now that you're mentioning it, it is it's definitely something that we can give thought to, but it's also something that we could that we should try to keep in check, because this is something. It could also be a topic that we just spend an endless amount of time on.
True.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the things I thought of early on is this really going to attract people who are very, very set in their ways? And I don't know. I think probably not. But after hearing what Finn had to say, it just reminded me that, you know, we can't solve every problem with this. You know, is the problem we're trying to solve to get the hardcore people to come closer to the middle, or is it we're trying to maybe broaden the middle?
Yeah, Okay, if you put it that way, yeah. Then
Yeah.
I would say broad in the middle is also a beautiful and ambitious goal, which is many interesting as well. Yeah. What did you want to say, Austin?
Yeah, and it could be that the people that we would target with this, I know it wasn't our initial audience, but it could be those that are curious on some level or who are seeking a more balanced news source. And maybe they are in the middle to start with, and they say, I'm alienated by those on the left, and those on the right seem too extreme, so I don't know what to think about certain things.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Yeah. My only other solution of how to, I think I saw that someone also asked for clarification, is to download the Google extension. That was the only way that I could think of, that you can just keep looping it in. Like, for example, I never go to Pinterest, but I do have the Pinterest Google extension just drop on the button, but I just never visit the site. Like, having a Google extension of having something that is integrated is easier for people to just keep going back to. Although when you look at it from the development side, I think it makes it a lot harder as well. Maybe even.
Yeah, that's I highlighted that one because I was trying to think through what an extension would do in this case. But it could be like any kind of little extension that you have that either lets. I think we might want to think through that a little bit more. Not maybe right now, but whether this is an extension or whether it's just a standalone website. You know, would the New York Times have an extension? How does that work?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had in mind an extension that if you like go for the extension, like what Pinterest says, that then the article that you're reading at a certain point will be forwarded to, like, on the other hand, and on the other hand, curators will look for the paired article, something like that. But could be like, there are many different ways, but that's the clarification of that yellow one.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of it a little differently, that if you were on another news article, another website, if like a Pinterest icon, if there was an, on the other hand, icon that said, hey, this topic is covered on the other hand. So if you're reading an article on CNN or whatever, you could maybe click that button and it would do a little query of, on the other hand, is the president's taxes issue discussed on the other hand? Yeah, there are 3 articles on that today, and then click and then go.
Yeah, that is yes, it's very similar to what I had in mind.
Okay.
Something that gets people there.
Yeah.
That's more the point. Okay. So let's move on to the first card in the top left. That is see a message that their experience can be customized if they complete a political compass quiz. Someone, actually, I think I did this one. Not per se because I want clarification of it, but because adding a quiz worries me that this will polarize again, because you put people back in a box where I would say try to keep it generic and just show everyone the same. I think that's what we try to do, get people out of echo chambers. For me, a quiz kind of puts them back in, or like maybe the pitfall of putting them back in by accident. That was just my side note.
And I had put it in there because it was the top feature, you know, this idea of political compass or quiz or something from Paula's idea. And, but yeah, I mean, it could actually be the opposite of what we want to accomplish, which is we don't really care what your political biases are. We're committed to not being biased. So I leave that open for the group. We should decide that whether or not, or before getting too far, whether or not we're going to let people customize this in any way, or if that's antithetical to our mission.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Because I was thinking something similar, where I think the Compass quiz is a useful tool, and I read like a lot of like stuff where people like take the test and here's what I think and this is what the test said for me, and it's so interesting. And I think it's cool, but I don't know what sort of value add it would really bring to this sort of platform where, you're if you lean to the left, if you're in the middle, or you're on the right, you can still get those different perspectives regardless of what the test output would be.
Mm-hmm.
And you would still just see the two different sides of the coin.
So I think generally, or as the idea is right now, I could definitely go with Austin and the general vibe that there is right now. There doesn't really seem to be a connect between having the political compass and then making use of that information or of that test result in some way. If we would go, I think there could be ways in which we could integrate the political compass in the, into the idea. For example, if we're talking about comment sections, your political compass results could be a part of your comment or a part of your identity commenting. So that could also bring more transparency about what kind of people are commenting on what sort of content and what sort of platforms. But as the idea is right now, it doesn't really, I agree that it doesn't really add too much.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
for right now, I'd err on keeping the idea simple, so and not adding a ton of features to it. So for me, it would definitely be fine if we just stick to the sort of the main principle of the two articles or two or more articles.
Okay. This actually brings us beautifully in the comment section anyway, because that's the next card that needed clarification. Comment in threefold on both articles via the comment section, differences, similarities, and common ground. Does someone want clarification or discuss this card?
I have a question about comments at all.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about including comments because it seems like the comment section is where it's where all the sludge goes. It's where all of the conflict goes. And it's also where content providers spend most of their time moderating awful content.
Yeah.
And I'm going to question whether or not we should even have comments at all.
Okay. No, yeah, copy that. I think that is a valid point. I think that would there be an option that comments are, because I dropped it in because I was intrigued by Finn's version of the comment section, where you have where you actually have threefold. So your comment section is like you're going to look for crucial differences. You're going to look for like your preferences or like for common grounds, right? Like, I don't know exactly what the three pillars should be, but this doesn't per se for me have to be public. Could also be that you just under every paired article have three small like private comment sections wherein you can drop, okay, this is where I can find this is where I find the differences, this is where I find the similarities, and here is common grounds, for example. And not that it becomes yeah, indeed, like arguing back and forward, or like the horrible comment sections we see on like Reddit and Facebook. I think we definitely want to avoid this. But having a place where people can drop their thoughts and actually writing them down in like threefold, so you sort of challenge them to also not only read the article but form different type of opinions about it. That seems very interesting to me. But can definitely be private. I should have added private.
Well, it could be part of a paid tier also. A lot of websites are doing that now. Is if you want to be part of the conversation, you have to be a paid member, which tends to filter out the drive-bys.
Yeah,
I think the question I would ask myself for the comment feature is, does our idea work without a comment feature? And I would tend to say yes. So for now, I would keep it. I would keep it. I would keep it in mind as something that we would like to maybe do in the future as a feature or something. If we realize down the road that this is something that we also want to include in the user interviews, because we find a reason that it's necessary for the entire thing to work, then we can go back to including it. But I think for now, we can. There's lots of other things we can focus on.
True.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to view it, as like a minimum viable product, and like what's the core features and functionality that we need there,
Yeah.
and maybe exploring comments later on would be a good path.
Yeah. Don't no bells and jingles at this point, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense. I think we discussed all the ones that needed some clarification. So what the process suggests right now is that we vote on a flow and we vote on a favorite card. But what I would like to suggest is that we just keep all of these cards in mind, like we maybe copy paste them and start thinking about the storyboard flow for our prototype and just do a discussion based. 'Cause I kind of want to stay away from voting a bit today. And we're not with that many people, so
Yeah, and I think we have the advantage of, if you look at all four of our story flows, they're extremely similar.
yeah.
Yeah, once you strip out the comments and the quiz, I think they're almost identical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's very true. Yeah. The only thing that we maybe could think a bit more about is, oh no, like we did the level ground, is having them get there. But maybe as well for MVP, that is not very important. So the idea, I think, is that we do the same as we did with the last one, as we did here, but then have a group one. But our first action and our last action can be similar, and then we can just like discuss the steps in between and just drag and drop. I think we all agree that someone hears about it via a social media platform or a friend, like,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
So I think the one from Ken, hear about Otto from a friend online or a linked article, kind of combines it all.
Or Austin's is good too. I like that word of mouth just because it
YouTube
captures so many things.
Some online source of, yeah. Agreed with that, Finn? I think Finn is frozen. Oh, you're muted.
Oh no, I hate it when it happens to me. Yeah, I'm definitely fine. Just if I don't visibly oppose him, typically fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good to know.
And does everyone know the space bar trick in Zoom?
I don't.
No.
If you're muted, you can stay muted, but if you want to speak, just tap the space bar like a walkie-talkie.
Hello.
That works.
Yeah, the problem is that I'm not on
okay.
a dual screen setup right now. So if I try to do that while I'm in Mural, it doesn't work.
I just keep switching back and forwards. I also not on dual screen. It
Yeah.
makes it harder. That's true.
Yeah, I'm single screen right now too.
Yeah, it's very can be challenging.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take it the last step. Then we have share links to paired articles on Otto with friends. Adapt Otto as their main news source and share links to friends and other connections. Multiply the experience by posting on social media and continue using platform to help round out their understanding of current news. The sharing is definitely one that comes back in 3 out of 4 ways. The one that can be up for discussion is our goal to have them adapt this as their main source of news, or should it be additional to any other form of news that they are like engaging with?
So I think for the purpose of this sprint, I would keep it to trying to get trying to share, trying to multiply, because I think the other one, trying to get into people's newsfeed for a long term in long term sort of implies that it has initial success, and
True.
I would stick to having initial success by multiplying.
So let's go with multiply the experience by posting on social media. Because that also includes share links to paired articles on Auto with Friends. It's just a bit more broad version of it.
Sure.
Yeah. Is that?
Yep.
Oh. Oh, okay. So that is our last step. The steps in between are screens. They mean screens of the prototype, right? So where
Yeah.
we're moving them through. So that is not identical to what we're doing. Like it says copy paste, but we're just going to copy paste the steps and design the screens. That's right, right?
So the steps from our story map, our story flows go in here. And then from here, we start to visualize what that screen, or if it's not a screen, whatever it is, what the visualization of what that is.
Perfect, that makes sense. Shall we maybe I like the circle. I like circling over a card because it's not as rigid as voting and we can discuss it.
Yep,
But
that's
then
good.
we have a starting point. So let's just like go with the first card as circle over. Where would you like to start? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I have everyone disappeared.
No,
Sorry.
I was over here.
You're over, like you're all over here, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oh. Okay, and then step 2. We're gonna leave this one out for now.
That one too.
That
So,
one too.
we're
we
not
don't
sure
have a
about comments, so I
dot.
think we're this one.
Yes, that one. Yeah. Okay.
You know what? Maybe we can take my third step and make it before the one that we just chose from Austin.
Okay, so choose one of the curated topics.
Yeah.
And then drop that in as screen 3.
Is it?
Oh, yes, here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, you're right. That makes more sense because you're gonna have to choose before you can start doing something.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd be running out of steps quite quickly.
Look, let's check if we did skip now. We're going to see content matching their views. Be intrigued. Okay, do we want to vote? We can vote on the, like, let's just go over this one before we move to the next one. Otherwise, we skip 3 cards. Okay, this is a quiz again, so we're not doing that right now. Content matching their views, and that is quite similar to what we will be doing here. I think we missed a card here. So
Yeah,
I think we can move on to the next step, right? I'll just like the ones that we don't do right now, we can just like step like this.
Yeah.
This we're also not doing at the moment. Okay. Reconsider beliefs that there news. This is also not. And okay, let's go on this row. Not seeing you. Are you hovering?
I am.
Okay, Finn, Austin.
I'm not.
Okay, oh, wait. Okay. So, yeah, okay. Makes sense. Okay, reconsider belief that their news sources are correct and unbiased. Yeah. Okay. And then we're going on row 6. This row. Is everyone reading this row?
I think we're sort of through.
Yeah.
I would, instead of choosing something from row 6 and 7 or whatever, I would maybe just spend a second to think about, is there something else that we want the user to do between screen 5 and the last action step?
Yeah, I like that idea.
And it's also
So
common
let's see.
to not complete all of the steps
There's not per se necessary either, right?
in a journey map. Yeah.
So what we have so far is step 1, user becomes aware of the platform through some online sources word of mouth. He views the homepage containing current trending news stories, chooses one of the curated topics, compares the various positions offered by the different sources, reconsiders belief that their news sources are correct and unbiased, and then multiply the experience by posting on social media. The only thing that I could imagine is that what would you have is that you can sort of give people the opportunity to share mapped stories so that they can sort of create an overview of news that makes them like that gives them an overview of opposing views. It really shows that that is the case in many different cases, and you don't give people an echo chamber, but you sort of give people a chamber where they can engage with all the topics they are interested in, but you will always see both opposing views. Sort of a safe function, or I don't know how you would call it. That could be an addition. What else could we add, or what else would be beneficial?
One of the things that I saw in the story flow that didn't come over is, did it? Okay, yeah, choose one of the curated topics. So that implies that our content will be arranged by topic. So it won't just be a spray of content. People will be able to go into the environment or new economy or some directory and find a particular group of content. What else do we need? What else would serve what we're trying to do here?
If we break our brains over what else we should add, then maybe that means that we shouldn't add anything.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, it's an MVP. We can always build on it later, right?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the sentences you go to hell for typically, but yeah.
Why do you go to hell for that? What the heck just happened? That is the whole idea.
No.
What?
I definitely agree that if we have to break our brains over it, then I think we're done. But this is it's just an MVP. We can fix it later. It's
Yeah.
And I didn't say fix it.
No,
I
know. It was just a joke.
Very different. Oh, You're really funny sense of humor, sending people to hell. Okay. Yeah, no, not fix. Yeah, build up. Because I do like a simple proposition at the beginning.
Well, and it's
Of course.
possible too that as the prototype is being visualized and built, that the designers will come upon something that is interesting that could be turned into screens 6 and 7,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
or 2 or 3, and then bump everything up. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What I actually wanted to propose, because we now made this whole flow, who in this group, just like I think Ken and Austin both said that they would like to be that you're designers, right?
I'm not a designer, but I can think about it.
Developer or designer.
Yeah, developer was one of the things I chose.
Okay. Okay. Because what I would say, like we have another hour. What I would say is have part of the team look at how these different screens could look like, and another part of the team at looking for lightning demos that could be used in the next step already, or that could that could lead to maybe filling in those steps 6 and 7.
When would we review the lightning demos?
So what the idea is that you now here make the prototype flow and decide how all the screens would look like. Then the idea is that there's going to be an initial build of the prototype. There is a walkthrough, and then the lightning demos will be used. This is for me also an unusual place for lightning demos, but they will be reviewed after the walkthrough of the initial prototype to see if that could lead to any extra input for the prototype. We can also, I would actually propose to turn it around and look at lightning demos first, then build an initial prototype, and then do a walkthrough.
I'm gonna throw one more thing into the mix,
Okay.
and it might complicate it, but for me as a designer, what has been the most helpful at this step is for the other team members to spend some time contributing ideas to these screens. And those can be things as well. In the past, it's been just a color palette that they liked. It can be the look of a logo. It can be a screen from another similar product, just to give the designer inspiration so that they're not starting with a clean slate. And then, so all of these spaces would be filled with ideas, maybe not by screen, but kind of like a mood board, so that we can then go back and look and say, this is the right personality for this. This typeface really feels right, or this one doesn't feel right, or whatever. And that can be a way for the designer to kind of cut through and just get to what the team is really looking for and will respond to, rather than just rolling the dice and hoping that they're right.
I like that. I think that is also kind of the idea of what is done with the lightning demos, is just giving input, but then it's done after the initial prototyping round. So
if lightning demos are seen as a way of each person kind of going out and capturing their own mood board materials or inspiration, let's just call it inspiration, and then being able to look at it and briefly talk through it for the benefit of the designer and the prototype, I'm all for that. I'm all for doing that first before we get much further.
Okay.
I like that idea.
I really like that idea as well. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think we can just take now, I would say take 30 minutes or something offline time to do this, and then we can take Sorry,
It's okay.
my business partner gets super excited.
I'm kind
about
of
the topic.
envying you, Minu. I feel like I'd love to be in a little public place right now instead of sitting in my house
It's
alone.
really strange to live in a hostel in a pandemic. It's really strange. I see so many people. It's a bit weird. Yeah, it gets social distancing gets really difficult.
I've got a little Chrome extension called Noisely that just lets
Yeah.
you recreate the sound of a coffee house in the
Oh,
background.
really?
Huh,
Yeah,
that's funny.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Actually, you can add everything. You can add like raindrops or the wind or thunderstorm or something just as background ambient noise. But the one I always use is coffee house.
That's interesting. I always just blast music in my ears to like not hear the coffee house. But
Yeah.
works both ways. But what I would propose is like take 30 minutes, just drop in these mood boards things indeed, and then just be back here. We can always just leave on the Zoom to like if we want to like discuss something briefly or something. Take some alone together time, and then we take 15 minutes after that to review those mood boards, and then the last 15 minutes to actually dive a little bit deeper into like how do we want to schedule the next couple of days.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna set the longest timer I've ever set.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll just so everyone can just stay in the Zoom in case you want to ask something, and I don't know, mute or stop the video or something.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. See you guys in a bit.
Okay.
All right.
and validate where the information is coming from.
Yeah. For me, it feels like we're still quite on track, right? Say so.
I think, yeah.
Would you argue differently?
No, I think now that I read it, I think we're a bit more on track than what I thought, but yeah. What do you think? What's the next step? Or do we, because now the ideas that we've done so far have been somewhat challenged, and
I think we still have the main idea that we have been working on. We are challenging the specific features, I would say.
All right, that's good.
If someone else, like, what do you think, Austin, Ken?
Yeah, even though, like I said, everything's been done before. So if that were the criteria about whether or not you should go forward with something, then nothing would ever get done. So seeing the all sides example is pretty typical. I think we continue to move forward. We find our own way, and we try to create something unique that has value. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I said this in a previous sprint, and it wasn't very popular, but if you find out that your idea isn't a good one or doesn't get any traction, you're still successful, because that's what the sprint is all about. So, but I think this one it's funny too, because I've mentioned this idea to friends. Oh, this is what we're working on. Well, tell me about it. And I told them what the idea was, and everyone's like, that's a great idea. So the fact that it's been done before only means that, well, okay, there's an example that we can learn from. And how would we do it differently?
Yeah.
But it still has value.
Yeah, absolutely. And that it's been done before. I mean, we are not using it.
Yeah.
So it is done before, but yeah, maybe in another way, maybe not the way we're looking for. Yeah. But I don't think that was per se like, I think Finn mentioned more that that you had the feeling that we derailed from what we came to yesterday. But
I think I was what I was trying to do or what I was trying to accomplish is to I sort of had the feeling that our status quo had been challenged, and I was trying to figure out what's the way to move forward. But uh, maybe not as intentionally as I would have liked to. I did sort of succeed in pushing for some more clarity on whether we go forward with what we have right now, or how the challenge that has come up influences our the way we move forward.
So
I am interested in this question of like the focus that you brought up, Manu, of I don't know, like well, you guys know international politics better than I do. Is like the left and right divide? You said it was starting to creep into the Netherlands and other places more as well.
yeah, more and more like the type of conversations that we have and the type of problems that we have and the type of issues that we face seem to be moving towards issues that also come across in American politics. Like the easiest example for me is like a couple years ago, our prime minister was, he always bicycled to his work. Just went to work with his bicycle, his lunchbox, that was it. That is almost impossible anymore. Like people of the parliament, they have to leave via back doors because it went extremer in both directions. There is less common ground. We are a country of compromise. That compromise is a bit lost. The belief in compromise is a bit lost, and this I think comes as well from that we are watching so much American politics that we are taking over that way of communicating. So it does leak into European politics as well, I would say, yeah. And I think sometimes like having Americans read European politics or Europeans read European politics actually, or surprise news, that would be interesting. Like, did you read what happened in Kenya yesterday? I don't know, but why would that be less or more relevant than what happens in America? I mean, Kenya is just as close.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are really reading and producing news based upon, yeah, what are considered to be the important countries right now. So I think that would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I'm a bit tired, so.
Yeah. Well, and I'm tired of American news as well. So I'm just interested in hearing your perspective because I don't really know what it's like in other countries.
You are in Europe right now as well, right?
Yeah, I'm in Belgrade, but I'm not really plugged into the news here other than, the one Serbian news article that'll trend on Reddit, or like coronavirus is shutting down the UK again, like that type of stuff.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right.
So you don't look at any local Serbian news?
Not particularly. But I just moved here like a month ago, so I don't know where people read their news. I'm sure there's English outlet places, but
And you were in Asia for a couple of years, you said, right?
right.
And was it the same then that you weren't that plugged in locally?
With Taiwan, I was a little more plugged in, but I was still limited to the English language periodicals. And so, there's a lot of coronavirus stuff, but a lot of times, like Taiwan was stable. It basically news was either coronavirus response was good or China's about to attack, and get ready.
Yeah.
Okay, well. Huh. Yeah, with the language barrier, it's different. I lived in Malta as well, and I had the same problem. It's very hard to be part of the Maltese news. Like, at one point, there was the article, like a report of Geneva came out that the Maltese democracy was in danger, and that there were because there were too close ties, we didn't like Malta. And then I asked my Maltese friends to clarify this for me, or like tell me the Maltese side of it. And they were just like, no, it's not in the news. Like, and I couldn't figure out, like, is it not in the news? Do you not want to talk about it? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Mm,
also like
difficult.
that cultural aspect of like sometimes there's like sensitive topics that people don't want to talk about. So,
Yeah.
I'm just the foreigner, so
Yeah. No, true. Okay.
we got digression a little bit, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. Finn, you indeed pushed yesterday a little bit for like, are we still on topic? How do you feel about it right now? Like, are you good moving forward like this, or would you like to look into it a bit more?
Have we made a decision on? I mean, the most recent comments have been going towards focusing on a more international audience. I feel like the the most recent comments sort of suggest a decision towards moving away from an American's audience, but they don't really replace a new audience that we sort of target, because just
Yeah, I don't think
if
we ever narrowed down on an American audience, right? Like that was,
sorry.
I think we never really narrowed down, selected an American audience. It's just sort of kind of sneaked in.
Yeah.
So we can consider that right now. Doesn't have to be a location-based demographic though.
I think if we want to curate topics, or at least, well, no, theoretically not. I mean, we can still we can do one American topic, one European topic, and an African topic.
And don't like normal news sites also have the local? They have twofold, local and international, and then you could have local paired articles and international paired articles.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the decision that we can roll with.
Okay. 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 Maybe we should write this down somewhere. Yeah, just write it. A bit lost on the board. Drop something extra in here. Should we have this on the board as well? Yeah, right? Because otherwise it's not clear that we have.
Yes.
We could have a part like choose one of the curated topics, either locally or internationally, or choose one of the curated topics locally and then choose one of the curated topics internationally, and we just move over the steps. One. Would that be, for example, wait, I'll just do it and then show you what I mean. Topics locally. Something like this. Like I added, choose one of, I changed screen 3 and choose one of the curated topics locally, and then added screen 4, choose one of the curated topics internationally, and then I moved over the other 2 steps, 1 to the right. Does that look good like this?
That works.
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, so we kind of took our time on the mood boards. Is this what you meant, Ken? Having input like this?
Yeah. Obviously, I'd like to see more inspiration, but
Yeah, of course.
every little bit helps.
Yeah.
So maybe we, I don't know what you're planning to do next, but maybe we can just kind of talk through the things that we captured, do our little demos of what we found and why they appeared relevant.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to do. Yeah, just walk through the mood boards, and then after that, like do some scheduling for prototyping. What we do want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's got the first mood board here?
I think it's me if we're going.
We're starting
Yeah,
left up.
that's me.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. So I think generally I would go for quite a minimal approach, because the focus, I would definitely put the focus on the articles and the news that we're featuring, and sort of use a more subtle design to blend into the background, because we are only a provider, not the main subject. And then sort of and also like using just a black and white scheme. This is I think Wikipedia in terms of style ticks a lot of the boxes, not all of them. Uh, but it's a very basic design. It's very black and white. I would probably use serif letters that sort of emit some sort of authority and some sort of trustworthiness. But differing from Wikipedia, I would not go with a sort of aged look, or I would try to use I don't know, just make it a bit more snappy, and sort of I put a screen recording there that you can download that to take a look at, that sort of captures the way that I imagine things would move across the website. What I didn't get to put down yet is, or what I didn't really know how to visualize yet, is that the idea that I would be thinking of something that's very scrollable, especially in comparison to all sides, something that's much more in the range of a one-pager.
When you say scrollable versus one pager, to me, a scrollable.
No, I mean, yeah, that is, yeah. I mean, in comparison to all sides where you would scroll down and then select an article,
yeah,
and not be fed information piece by piece.
Okay.
Is that like a endless scroll sort of idea? Like you just keep going forever and then there's news articles? Or am I misunderstanding?
No, I think you scroll through looking at the two news articles, and then you would be met with some sort of call to action to share on social media, because that's what we're trying to get the user to do.
Okay, you drop the clarifications you just mentioned in like a post-it in the mood board, so just capture capture them. Okay.
By the way, I feel like the most horrible client for a design. I want something that looks like Mercedes.
and you have no idea.
I did have a question though.
Yeah.
For me, Wikipedia and minimalism are almost opposites. I find Wikipedia annoyingly busy and just too much going on, and not minimal at all. Like, so I would like maybe to try to figure out what minimal means to us.
Well, before we do that, I just want to go back and just make sure I'm clear on Finn's description. What I'm imagining is the difference between having all of the content on one page that you scroll through, and it continuously loads new content. When you find something that you want to read, you click on it, and then you get a new page, possibly. But that's in contrast to a page full of sections that you click on a section and then you go, oh, this is the new landing page for world news, or this is the new landing page for environment news. And now there's a whole new list of content available just for environment on this page, rather than having all of the content always on the homepage that you just scroll through, much like the Google search result. Or did I just confuse it even more?
No, those are two very different things.
So the way I envision, I really I really see our website focused on really just a handful of articles and topics. So I wouldn't really have the necessity to go to the environment section to see 10 articles there. There would maybe not even be an environmental article. And it is not about finding, for me, the user experience is not about finding the topic that you're most interested in, but rather having the one-time experience of seeing something displayed from two different sides. And I the limitation of looking at it this way is definitely that there's only limited use in coming back to the web page. But for me, it's more of an easy one-off gag that's really nice to experience, rather than a full-fledged news platform that keeps on delivering and that wants you to come back.
Actually, you kind of just, in a way, described an MVP for me, which is instead of us trying to create a better looking version, for example, of All Sides or any other news website, we go back to the original word that I think everyone liked, which is curated. And instead of focusing on quantity, we focus on quality and just pick a few things that the curation team explores. And then as the website or company or whatever gets more successful, then you can add more viewpoints, more topics and so on. But for the initial launch, you just say it's very curated. We're going to focus on just these articles that our staff thinks need deep exploration of.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was envisioning, but I mean, feel free to contradict.
Yeah, I think like I would both like I actually like going by sections because I was like that's interesting, and otherwise it might be a bit overwhelming, and it's going to be very difficult to have a group of curators to choose the relevant topics because yeah, we go back to the question what is relevant and who decides what's relevant. So what I would propose actually then, but then we have to go as well, so not do sections but do just locally, like for example 5 articles locally, 5 articles internationally. But I mean, you're just gonna have to, yeah, if this is gonna be really targeted and really curated, we're gonna have to choose what those locally things mean because we can't do 196 countries, can't curate that. It's too much. So we could, I may go continent based, or also doesn't make sense in some cases, but yeah, should maybe think about that a bit.
Okay. Okay. Anything else, Finn, on your mood board?
No.
Okay.
The other things are just the other thing is the all sides. I don't know if Austin also found it, and then another link, but that goes more in the direction of Lightning demo.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move for now left to right, and mine is the next. I didn't get a lot. I just found a couple of, actually found an educational content website called Cengage that has a subdivision called Gale, I guess, but they have a whole content area of that they call opposing viewpoints in context. And they have these sections of articles, I guess, where they take opposing view positions on particular subject. Not much here. I didn't really find an awful lot of inspiration. The only thing that I then thought of is the way that Google News arranges their content and how they not only make it customizable so that anyone can choose to customize any of these sections. And this is obviously driven by an algorithm. But then they have this fact check section now, which I think they've added to all of their news pages, which is kind of interesting. But other than that, what I thought was interesting, and continue to think about what is interesting about Google and Google News, is how stripped down it is. And I'm always on the fence about that, because I like that it's fast and light and you can scan it, but it's also boring. And for me as a designer, one of the things that, especially when I'm designing something to be read, the thing that I always say is, is there an editorial position? Is there an editor behind it? Somebody who says, this is the most important thing you should read on this page, then this, then this, then this. And this doesn't have an editor, this Google News page. It just has a spray of content. And the readers, it's up to the reader to figure out what's important to them. That's a different position, but that's a different position. And that's all I've got.
I wanted to show you a website that showed the news in a way that I really like it, but I see that they went back into beta testing, so can't do it right now. I think mine is the next one, right?
Yeah.
Report-wise. Yeah. So I had some stuff. So first of all, I brought in Blendle, which is the new site that I was talking about. That it would be. They're super basic. They're very simple, very minimalistic, bright colors, not a lot of information, not a lot of extra text. It's just they keep it really simple. Just try to really find their. And I like that because I think that even for me, even Google News, depending on where you look for Google News, like if you press on the news button in Google search, then Google News looks very simple. But if you go just to Google News, then it's already more of, like, there's quite a lot of stuff going on. You have the weather and like a bunch of sections that I don't want to choose from. And yeah, actually some unnecessary stuff. I actually will just drop this one in because this is what I so I would definitely say keep it minimal. And this is what I mean by minimal. Drop it in here. And then I liked your comment of surprise me. I would definitely say that try to, I don't know, we don't have to give it an extra, like, we don't have to point more attention to it or something, but the fact that one of the articles out of 5 or 10 per day will be a surprising article, that really makes people think, or like, oh wait, there's also another type of news. That is interesting. Then I have this one. This is the news site. I kind of like the way this looks. It's very basic. It's very bright. It's modern. Doesn't have a lot of like bells and whistles and stuff like that going on. And then I found a site called the Joe, which is actually interesting because they, like yesterday, straight after I came from my call, or like this session, I got a message that said, "Hey, I'm reaching out on behalf of the DOE, a new anonymous publication breaking down echo chambers and helping people engage with new ideas. Our stories are written for all perspectives by contributors from all walks." It's like, oh, okay. I don't know how you find me now at this exact moment, but that's interesting.
So I think that what we can conclude from that is that Zoom is now listening in on our conversations and then plugging that information into the algorithm, and that's why you got that.
Always seems to be, yeah. But it did bring me to their website, and it was indeed interesting. So they don't do, so it's a members first thing. They don't do algorithms. They are curated, and they're opposing echo chambers, and they have some like breakout lines of like basic just sort of community rules to go by. But that's what I dropped it as well, because I found it interesting that they found me yesterday. So, that's odd. And then I had one more photo of just a minimalistic way that I like. I
And then
liked
what,
it, like
what
when
is
I
the
mean,
sketch here? What is that sketch?
yeah, we were talking about like we were talking about sections, and I was like, just have two basic things like location internationally, and then a scroll thing, which is 5 pages and a share button, and that's it. Like when I say minimal, I really mean minimal. That's why I said like try to find out what minimal means, because it's really different for many people.
Mhm.
I get distracted really easily. That's why.
Okay.
So that was it for my side. So I think we can go to the next one.
And for mine, so I spent most of my time at the All Sides website, which everybody has seen. And I like how they have presented the information. In terms of like aesthetics, I am on board with sort of the minimalist type of look. Um, I didn't bring any images over. Actually, this one might be from the New York Times on the right, but how the New York Times and the Washington Post always have like the image is sort of the centerpiece, and then the smaller text is kind of a support. That seems to be like fairly standard, and maybe there's a way to mix that up to make it a little more engaging, but I think their websites looked minimalist but also still like polished and nice. And but I did, yeah, I like the minimalist idea, and also looking at some of the news mood board items. I like how there's that red flourish color. Like, I don't know red necessarily, but I like how there is sort of a little more visual variety with that color on a lot of her pictures.
Yeah, it's a bit brighter than the most news sites are white, black and white.
Yeah, I feel like with the New York Times and the Washington Post, it is really just the photos, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe the inclusion of one like hook color, primary color or something would be a nice addition.
Great. Okay. Oh, so that was your mood board so far? I saw that people also dropped in. Oh, they're gone.
That I was putting my mood board in the wrong place, so I moved it down.
Yeah, me too.
You know, perfect. So did everyone get their saying in? Like, oh, they want to like maybe
Yep.
clarify something a bit more? Okay, cool. Ken, is this useful for designers this way? Well, how we did it?
It's useful. Now I think though, we would typically start wireframing, and
Yes.
um, I mean, there's only, I guess the way to go about doing that is just to start doing it. So for me, if I were the designer here, I would go back, review the comments, everything that we've looked at here, what people's preferences were, and start to sketch out some wireframes for how some of this stuff could work. Keeping in mind, and then this is the second part, what we all as a team kind of define as what our prototype will be. So I think it's important now or at some point very, very soon to build a fence around our prototype so we know exactly what it is we're going to be creating and nothing more, and making sure that the prototype is designed for our user test.
Yes. What I actually wanted, what we did, what was now we did the mood boards, was to have the design team sort of think of it and then regroup and consider this fencing. and then schedule based on that. But I don't want to go over the top of the hour. We have a couple more minutes only. So what I'm thinking, like tomorrow, the day 3 is focused on already building a prototype, then using the lightning demos, and then already trying to collect various assets that are needed with the prototype building. What I would propose is to use the whole day, the whole session tomorrow, the 2-hour session, to regroup, look at like, we have everyone for the designers, see what they're gonna do, put a fence around the prototype, start wireframing. I don't mind spending a bit more alone together time instead of having separated online and offline time, as I do have the feeling that that works a bit better in staying engaged with the process, and also in like, because like interesting discussions started happening today while we were just exploring stuff and giving ourselves a little bit more slack. Um, so I would propose to do the same tomorrow and just focus on the design part, and tomorrow's session with like half an hour of like how we're really going to build this prototype, and then just accept that we are not going to be user testing by Friday, but I think that is completely okay. How does that, like, is that okay for the others?
That sounds great to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Finn,
Yep.
tomorrow you are scheduled for facilitation and
Yeah.
co-facilitation with Sarah.
Mhm.
Are you okay with this?
Um, yeah.
Okay. If you want,
I'll make it work. It'll probably be fine.
if you want, we can hop on a car, no, on a call tomorrow, just before the session, or a bit earlier even, to just discuss what we have been doing today and what the plan is, what we wanted to do, so we don't start following the process to what we are actually supposed to be from tomorrow on, because we are making quite some changes right now. Or if you're comfortable with just like bringing Sarah up to speed, then that's also fine, of course.
Um, so I think the problem for me is that right now with my work and also my means of getting to work and back really restrict me from getting home any sooner than like 4:45. And I don't really know where to put the preparation time, because I'm just I think I somewhat underestimated this week, and especially I was so used to home office that I didn't factor in that 2 hours of my day would go to just commuting.
That makes sense.
So I think maybe if I could push my facilitation to Friday, I think that would maybe just be a lot more relaxed for everyone involved.
We haven't scheduled anything for Friday. I think we're definitely gonna need a Friday. So if everyone is okay with like pushing this past Thursday, and otherwise we're just gonna be on Friday with whoever can make it that day.
All right.
Right? How does this sound to you, to the rest?
Yeah.
To me, it
Yeah,
sounds
that's
good.
most likely fine.
Okay, so I'll put you on Friday. We'll find out who can co-facilitate then, and then Henry.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Oh, it's dark
Yes.
there.
Okay, Marie says I can help to rapid wire flow of each screen with someone who has a great vision of the solution, but we need clearly the content needed on each screen. Marie, we're just discussing this, and I think what we're going to do is that
Yes.
we're going to do this rapid wire flow tomorrow in sort of an alone together construction. So we're just going to spend 2 hours of our time tomorrow on doing this wire flow of each screens as a group, that we have the designers who will be working on this, and we can serve as support or looking for colors, for patterns, contents, photos, anything. I don't know exactly how this works, but that we do it more as an engaged alone together online time than as a offline session. How does that sound to you? Oh, so I would propose that tomorrow a designer facilitates, or is that a really bonkers idea?
Yes, it's Kiwi.
Marie, you're breaking up.
What did you?
I'm sorry. At what time do you need to start? If we start before the natural meeting,
No, the same meeting. We're just gonna do the same time as we did today.
okay,
Only instead of going to the
okay,
board, we're just gonna spend this time on prototyping and wire frames and everything.
okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. Ken, what do you think on having a designer facilitate?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
I will discuss with Sarah if she is okay for co-facilitation, and otherwise we have, like you said, deep bench. I can always do it if that's necessary.
Yeah. It's going to be a very collaborative thing. So
That's why. Yeah.
I'm just I'll have to think through a little bit how how we do that. If we do it right on Mural back at this board on the screens that we have in front of us, screen 2, screen 3. We can maybe wireframe directly in there. But I mean, we'll work it out.
You can. What we also can do
Yes.
is we can alter day 3 a little bit, and instead of having step 1 is a walkthrough,
Bye, Finn.
I will just right. Sorry. We're just gonna use, instead of using the step 1 as a walkthrough, and on day 3 we're just gonna use that as wireframing area.
Yes.
That makes sense. And then we have the lightning demos next to it, and we can drop our mood boards in here, and everyone can still drop in additional stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it seems to be sort of built for this.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and we can either use the tools in Mural for our wireframing tools, or do paper sketches and upload pictures, whatever works.
Indeed.
Yes, I'm used to using the feature of Miro for wireframing very quickly. Do you know it?
I haven't used it,
I haven't used it in over a year.
but I've heard that someone told me the other day, I don't know if it's true or that I misunderstood it, that Mural also has a wireframing option.
Oh,
But I have
great.
to figure out if that's true and where it is and how it works. I have no idea.
Yeah, surely they have something equivalent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes Mural is late, or Miro, but
Yeah, true.
on new features.
They keep chasing each other with like certain things. Yeah. Okay. I think that was it for today. Marie, you can stay on a bit longer, and I'll just update you, or you can watch the recording, or you can review the board, whatever is comfortable to you. Because
Yes.
we're going a bit past time, so I just want to like let everyone go if they need.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So Marie, do you want to stay on, or you just want to wait for the recording, which I'll post to YouTube later today?
I can stay on a few minutes just to be sure that well, I suspect that you presented many solutions, and that you have not a common storyboard wire flow.
Actually, we do.
Is it right?
We do. We will update
Okay.
you. We'll stay on, and
great.
I'll update you, and then can everyone else go on with their day. And I
Okay.
don't think we have a lot of. I think I'm just gonna this time we're sort of staying away from maybe the having some offline work.
Okay.
Unless someone wants to look deeper in further into potential mood boards or features and everything. But we don't want to overwhelm with too many things,
Yes.
I would say.
I don't know if we have a visual designer in the team. I'm not. I can do wire flows.
We have a visual designer on the team.
Yes. Great.
Very good. Okay.
I gotta hang up, guys, but good session today. So
yes, thank you. Thank you for
see you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Okay.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye. So I think we'll just walk you through like or today. Actually, Marie, what we ended up with is we do have one
Manu,
prototype.
I'm going to stop you there. I have to leave too, but I've made you the
That's
host. So
perfect. Thank
I'm
you. Yeah,
gonna,
then that's possible.
stop
Great.
sharing and then bounce out of here.
Perfect. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
See you.
Ciao.
Bye.
See you.